everyone, welcome to the Geekdom Podcast, coming to talk about the things we love, and today we're back on the Spidey grind. Now, before we get started on today's video, which I must say feels like it's gonna be a banger, my Spidey senses are tingling, I would like to ask that you subscribe, because, you know, we're really close. We're this close away from 1800, which means we're this close away from 2000, which would just be amazing. So if you could just click a couple of buttons down there, it would be much appreciated. Now, we're doing the top 10 Spider-Man villains of all time today, and we have got an honorable mention as well. Now, some of these might be powers based, some of these might be cosmetic, some of these might be appearances based, but we're gonna jump in with the honorable mention that is the Shocker. The Shocker is an awesome Spider-Man villain. I think the Shocker's great. Was he portrayed in the MCU? Well, not at all. So let's hope we get him in the future. I think he's just awesome. Great costume, great abilities. In fact, I've got him here. Ah, yes, Marvel Legends Shocker, my goat. Anyway, I have always been a fan of Spider-Man villains that are essentially small-time crooks turned big-time villains by the tech or abilities they've been granted by greater powers, right? And the Shocker is a prime example of that, because he was just some guy and then he got gauntlets, and then it was like, and he actually became a threat, you know? Obviously not too big of a threat for Spidey, but a big threat for random citizens of New York. So that is why he's our honorable mention. In the number 10 spot, we have Quentin Beck, aka Mysterio. I have always been a big fan of the way Mysterio's power set works. And I say power set like that because he doesn't actually have any. He's just a very smart man who uses smoke and mirrors to mimic abilities, which I've always been super interested in. Now, we all know on this channel that I despise Spider-Man Far From Home. I've ranted about it many, many times.
You know I'm right!
You're not right!
I'm so right!
It's so washed. It's such a washed film.
So right.
Tom's great, Jake Gyllenhaal's great. Who cares?
I just think, but the one thing that they did right in that film is Quentin Beck. I think his powers in that film are great because it modernizes them by the use of holograms and stuff like that. I've always really enjoyed that about that film. And Jake Gyllenhaal's portrayal was great as well. He's got good drip, he's got the fishbowl, which I've always been a fan of. I've always quite liked that. And he presents like a real threat with very minimal power, which I really, really like. Next up on this list, we have a character, and before the pitchforks are brought out and before you guys go crazy at me, there's reasons here, okay? In my number 9 spot, we have the Kingpin, Wilson Fisk. Now, for me, Willy is a top 5 Marvel villain of all time. And you're thinking to yourself, Freddy, that makes no sense. How can he be top 5 but also number 9? I prefer Willy. I need to stop saying that. I prefer Wilson. Good old Wilson Fisk.
Vanessa, I love this city.
Anyway, I prefer him as a Daredevil villain. I think they power scale him up ever so slightly whenever he goes up against Spider-Man because it's powers versus powers. But I think him versus Daredevil is often more grounded. I think their stories are often far more impactful. That might also be because I've got some bias because I love the Netflix series so much. But yeah, Kingpin, my goat, and I'm really hoping that we see Spider-Man and Kingpin interact in a future project, be it Born Again, maybe even Brand New Day, I don't know, but I would love to see it. Next up, we have a character that needs to have a live action appearance. Please, for the love of God, Disney, MCU, Marvel, Kevin Feige, please give us Chameleon, because he's awesome. I've always been a big fan of Chameleon, because at the end of the day, he's just a dude, but the way he can like use prosthetics and makeup and masks and stuff to mimic other people, he can cause a real problem in the lives of Spider-Man and his friends. Like, he's been J. Jonah Jameson, which has caused a bunch of difficulty. He's been Spider-Man, which is difficult. I think he's such an awesome character. I know if they did the MCU, they'd have him with like a nanotech hologram mask that can make him look like, no. I've always been a big fan of, there's a really great piece of art of the Chameleon. It's probably the piece of art that I've chosen, which is probably here, which is the Chameleon surrounded by all the masks of the people that he pretends to be. That's the vibe I want. I want that. I think that would be awesome. Next up, we have Cletus Cassidy, aka Carnage. Yes! I love Carnage. I love a symbiote, right? I always think they're really cool. Something I love about Cletus Cassidy is that he's very different. He's like Venom's kid. He's like merged with Cletus, which I really enjoy. I've always been a big fan, as you know, of the black suit and that whole arc, and I've also always been a big fan of a character called Ben Reilly. Ben Reilly mentioned, come on. I've always been a big fan of both of those two. And Carnage was kind of Ben Reilly's symbiote, if you remember the whole Spider Carnage era, which is really slept on. I'd love to see that in live action at some point. Imagine a Spider Carnage movie. That'd be awesome. That'd be so cool. I need Ben Reilly. I desperately do. I just need him. I need him desperately. Focus, Freddy. Don't get sidetracked. Carnage is great. Venom, Let There Be Carnage. Not a great film, is it? But Carnage in that film was actually really fun, even though he did do spin jitsu at one point, which is a little bit weird. Always like the character design. I love how evil he is. He's up there with like Joker. Like he's evil just for evil. There's no rhyme or reason. He's just a horrible villain, and I love that. Next up, we have a character called the Hobgoblin. Now, the Hobgoblin moniker has been worn by many, many people. Ned Leeds, Harry Osborn has been the Hobgoblin before. I don't really mind who wears it. I just like him in the stories. My favorite is the 90s Hobgoblin. You know when he had that projector that could like shoot out the Spot's powers and stuff? I've always thought that was awesome. I just think he's got a great color scheme as well. I love the gliders. I love all the goblin type stuff. I mean, Superior Spider-Man, which we talk about a lot on this channel. By the way, side rant. I didn't realize how many like Superior fans and Ben Reilly fans we have in our chats and stuff. I mean, we always talk about them on the live streams when we're playing Spider-Man and stuff. Come to the live streams. There is so many like Superior Spider-Man fans and stuff out there, and I love that. I love that because it's always my favorite. Anyway, what was I saying? In the Superior Spider-Man comics, the Hobgoblin and the whole Goblin army is like a really awesome concept. You see some real highlights from the Hobgoblin and obviously the Green Goblin, who, spoiler alert, is a lot higher on this list. I've always loved the Hobgoblin though. I want to see him in live action. That would be cool. Next up, we have the Sandman, Flint Marko. I didn't realize how much I love the Sandman until recently. I've been watching Spectacular again, and I'm like, whoa, this is just a really fun character. As I said, I like the crook turned big time villain. And the Sandman always poses a really nice problem for Spider-Man because without like lightning, well, electricity to like, or heat, I guess, to turn him into glass or like water to make him into sludge or anything, it's a very difficult villain to fight. And I always enjoy watching Spider-Man work out the best ways to defeat him. Like he solidified him in concrete once. That was interesting. See, I was thinking this, side rant again, sorry about this. I was watching Spectacular the other day, and I saw Spider-Man obviously encase Sandman in concrete, and I was like, how does he know that Sandman's gonna therm that? Like, if you just buried me in concrete, I'm gonna die. So did Spider-Man just kind of take an educated guess? Not gonna lie, I don't know. A little bit confused about that one. Anyway, next up we have the first ever villain Spider-Man faced, I think, and that's the Lizard. I love The Amazing Spider-Man. That's something that we all know. I love that movie, and I love the Lizard. But more importantly, I love Curt Connors. I think Curt Connors is such a fun character. Like, he has such good motivations that lead him down a dark path. But it's also not his fault, because like the Lizard part of his brain takes over, makes him a bit feral, and he makes these mistakes. And I always find that super interesting. Like, I've always been a hater of Smart Hulk, right, in the MCU, because I think that's dumb as heck. What I do love, though, is Smart Lizard. I love it when the Lizard's body has Kurt's brain, and he's actually making good choices. Once again, sorry to bring up Superior again, but you see a fair bit of the Lizard in there, and the Lizard is like, he's normal. Like, he's got Kurt's brain, and he's like, nah, keep me in prison, bruv, because I've done bad things, and I feel really bad. And every time I see that, it makes me want to cry, because it's just really sad. I love the Lizard. Okay, we're in the top 3 now. And I'm pretty sure you could probably just guess this top 3. In the 3rd spot, we have the Lethal Protector himself, Venom. Now, I know a lot of people are going to go, oh, he's not a villain anymore, he's an anti-hero. He debuted as a villain. And that's what matters to me. Now, I'm not specifically talking about Eddie, although he is my favorite version. I'm talking about the symbiote and its hosts. That includes Peter Parker. That includes Matt Gargan, the Scorpion. Should Scorpion have been on this list? Nah. Honorable mention, Scorpion. Matt Gargan's great. Eddie Brock, obviously Eddie's kid. I'll tell you what though, Mary Jane isn't on this list. Why does she have the symbiote at the minute? It's wrong. Can we just stop giving her power? She was like jackpot at one point. Ugh, God, and Paul. Right, I need to stop thinking about MJ and what they're doing. Look at how they massacred my boy. Like, I think Venom's just a great character. I've always been more, like, attracted to the idea of the power set than the characters themselves. Like, I always thought to myself, well, I'm never going to get bit by a radioactive spider. And if I do, chances are that's going to kill me before it means I can climb on walls. But I always used to think, hey, if some giant alien sludge just kind of jumped on me, that would give me the ability to do all those things. Organic webbing. I'm not smart enough to come up with web fluid, right? I'd have organic webbing. I could climb walls. It would give me my spider senses. Basically indestructible. It can turn into your clothes. You never have to put your clothes in the washing machine again because you're always wearing the suit, which I always thought was an interesting concept. I just love it. I think it's great. Plus, imagine just like, you're just vibing and you're like, yo, you know when you have like a banging sandwich or something, you're like, oh my God, I just want to tell someone about this sandwich. Boom, alien parasite comes out, you go, alien sandwich. Alien sandwich. Alien parasite. I'm eating a banging sandwich right now, and you go, yes, yeah. What am I talking about? What am I on? Oh my God. We recorded this video earlier and the mics weren't on. So I'm re-recording it now. I think I've just gone delirious. But you know what I'm saying? You can talk to Venom and Venom can talk to you, but you're also Venom. What I'll never understand is how does the mouth thing work? Because he has all the fangs and stuff, but there's a face under there. I don't know. I don't know. I've got no idea how it works. I'm not gonna understand it. Anyway, I love Venom. He's great. In second spot, we have Dr. Octopus, Dr. Otto Octavius. Now, if I was allowing myself to put the superior Spider-Man version and the superior Octopus version, even though he works for Hydra, which is a little bit, if I was allowing myself to put those versions in, then he'd be number one, because I love that, but he's far too heroic in those versions, besides the whole Nazi stuff. I think he's too heroic there, so we're going purely little fat man with tentacles. He's just awesome. He's so smart and he's so evil and he comes up with all of these schemes. Like, what did he do? He tried to boil the earth via global warming. That's kind of interesting. Spider bots are always cool. I mean, the very concept of going, greatest enemy, I'm gonna die, so I'm gonna put your brain in my body and you can die in there. That's evil. That's evil as heck. I'm a big fan of that. I just like him. He's cool. Also, the tentacles are sick. Also, every single version of him is awesome. Like Alfred Molina, legend. Absolute legend. Insomniac, we're playing it at the minute, and every time I remember that he's going to become a bad guy, it breaks my heart a little bit. It makes me sad. At the number one spot, who else could it be? It's Norman Osborn. Norman's on sabbatical, honey. Right, I absolutely love the Green Goblin. Specifically Norman. Harry's great, but Norman. I mean, my God. If someone said to me, what is your probably like most iconic Spider-Man moment of all time? I'm saying Death of Gwen Stacy, which is all Goblin. It's all Goblin. First, we attack his heart, right? He's just awesome. He's so creepy. And also, like, you're like, there's a lot of points where it's like, Green Goblin's the bad guy. Norman's the kind of good side. And there's like a tug of war there. Norman's a terrible person. Norman's like evil himself. He's kind of abusive to Harry. He's just a horrible dad. He's just a bad guy. But you take a bad guy and you give him the ability to be worse. Damn. That's some great character work right there. He's Spider-Man at the minute, right? Like Norman. I keep doing my Norman voice. He's back. He's Spider-Man. He's been the Gold Goblin. He's been the Red Goblin. He's had Carnage. Wow, he's had a lot of suits. He's gone through like a whole ass rainbow. I love Norman Osborn. I like Goblin bombs, the pumpkin bombs, and I like the gliders. I think they're cool. I think 90s Goblin is my favorite Goblin. He's gone Goblin mode. Now, why am I like brain rotting today? What am I on? Calm down, Freddy. Anyway, everyone, thank you very much for watching. I know that's a really abrupt end, but I do hope you have enjoyed. If you have, feel free to like and subscribe down below. It does go a tremendously long way. As I said, we're close to goals. It would be great if we could get even closer to those goals. Also, comment Spider-Man videos, because at the end of the day, I like to do less work, and if you guys give me video ideas, I have less stuff to do, which would be great. Also, there's new merch, which is awesome. It's over here on the screen. Spider-Man themed. We love Spidey. So if you want to support the channel, that would be great. If you could just click, there's a link in the description. That would be awesome. Well, everyone, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time. And remember, with great power comes great responsibility. Bye-bye.